Hello, everybody. I am Zach, K8BSM. And yeah, just so everybody's aware, I do apologize if the fonts end up being small on the presentation. I sincerely apologize. I will be sharing this presentation as a PDF. I will put it on the reflector. I am also making a YouTube video for this presentation because I've had a few people express interest that would like to see this presentation. So this presentation will be available via my YouTube channel, hopefully within a week, but we'll see how it all plays out. So welcome everybody, I'm glad you're all here. I have an important question though for all of you. How many of you are familiar with Wordle, the annoying game that all your Facebook friends keep wanting you to play, talk about? And for those of you that are friends with me on Facebook, I am so sorry.
Not sorry enough.
Anyway, well guess what? You can actually play a form of Wordle on ham radio using Winlink. And I will show you how to do that at the end of this. So what do you need for Winlink? Well, you need a computer, first and foremost, some form of computer. You can actually run Winlink modes from everything from a full-blown desktop computer all the way down to a single boards like a Raspberry Pi. It is possible. Primarily though, most people use Winlink Express because it is fully loaded, it's got everything in it that you need to get running out of the box pretty much, which is cool. You're going to need a TNC, a terminal node controller of some kind, either software or hardware based. You're going to need a ham radio, of course. And you're going to need a ham license. Now the cool part is, for VHF and UHF, all you need is a technician license, and you can jump in on this. If you want to operate Winlink on the HF bands, you will need a general license minimum. So just some things to keep in mind. In terms of cost, you can do this for very cheap, especially if you're going to operate using a software-based TNC. You can keep your costs pretty much to the cost of the ham radio, the cost of the computer, and whatnot. And in terms of what Winlink Express needs to run, you can pretty much run it on anything Windows 7 and up. I do not recommend it for security purposes, but I do believe you can, and it is compatible with Windows 11 current. Some examples of some hardware TNCs. You could use something that like the TNC-X. That is a great hardware-based TNC if you want to run AX25 packet Winlink. For software-based TNCs, you've got Dire Wolf, you've got the UZ7HO sound modem, and of course you have VARA FM and VARA HF, which I will talk about in a little bit. Let me scroll down in the notes here. Winlink Express has another modem built in called RDOT. That is just another protocol for HF uses. And it works pretty good. The advantage that VARA has, and I'll talk about this in a little bit further, the advantage that VARA has over 300 baud packet or 1200 baud is VARA works in highly noisy RF environments, which is amazing. For example, at my QTH, 80 meters, can't use it. I have S9 plus noise. I can't use 80. But with VARA, I can actually break through, and I've gotten several hundred miles out on a VARA connection on 80, where voice just doesn't go through. I just can't hear anybody. And then you will need like an audio and PTT or CAT interface, such as like a Signal Link or a DigiRig, to interface the radio with the computer. So, what's it for? Who's it for, rather? Well, it's for everybody. Anybody can use Winlink. You do not have to be tied with an organization to use it. It's there for anybody to use it that wants to. The everyday ham can use it. I actually used it. In 2017, we had a straight line wind event. I think we had straight line winds of 70 to 80 miles per hour or something like that. It was at the beginning of July, if memory serves. And it knocked out power in Georgetown Township in a lot of areas, and Hudsonville. And that was a very interesting event because power was out for multiple days. Cell sites were down, landline comms were down, so no landline-based telephone or internet, cable TV was out. And then sometime after the power outage, maybe about 8 to 12 hours later, the cell sites went down. So the only form of communication was ham radio, and I remember getting on the repeater on the 06 and talking with some people asking about power outage situations and things like that. I talked about Winlink for a hot minute, and that was just because prior to jumping on the repeater, I was actually able to connect to, I think it was Dave's, W8RSA's node in Zealand, and actually send an email to my parents who were not home at the time and just say, hey, we're fine, the property's okay, the house is okay, I'm fine, don't call or text me because they're not going to come through. Reply to this email, but please keep the message brief, and please don't talk about anything confidential in your reply. And I'll explain that in a little bit as well. I was also able to use the email services where you can email a phone number and it sends it as a text message. I was able to let Caitlin know, along with some of my cousins and other family members, like, hey, don't try to text me for the next couple days. If you need to get a hold of me, reply to this message and I'll get it eventually. So there's a localized experience, but you can imagine the invaluable resource of this program that, say, hurricanes, areas where hurricanes impact and things like that, where you have wide scale power outages or infrastructure failures and things like that. It's insane. Which brings up the MCOM and OXCOM side of things. Winlink has kind of become the standard in the emergency communications community. Programs such as like Outpost PPM have kind of gone by the wayside and supported Winlink. Now, Outpost is great for bulletin board systems and things like that. There's a big difference between Winlink and something like a BBS or bulletin board system. Bulletin board systems are public, anybody can view them, versus Winlink, it is more peer-to-peer. It's one person talking to another person, versus a bulletin board. You send a message out and it goes out and anybody can read it. But yeah, so Winlink has kind of become like the standard in the MCOM community. And adventurers and sailors love Winlink because it's very portable. You can load everything you need into a backpack, an antenna, a little computer, like a Surface, like a Microsoft Surface tablet, or even a Raspberry Pi if you're feeling very adventurous. Load it all up, get yourself like a little Bioenna battery and power everything, throw an antenna up in a tree, and you can be on Winlink in a few minutes, sending messages over HF or VHF, UHF, and going through digipeaters and all that stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do. It's very versatile. It's an extremely versatile program. And I'll talk more about Winlink Express here in a little bit. So I last gave this presentation to HARC, I want to say it was like 2018, I think. So it's been a few years and a lot has changed. One example is there used to be a modem built into Winlink called Winmore. Gone. That was scrapped, oh boy, pre-COVID, 2019 maybe, somewhere around there. It was scrapped in favor of the VARA HF and VARA FM modes, as well as RDOT, because they were more, those modes were more efficient and could bust through noisy RF environments more easily than Winmore. So that was part of the reason for that. So the technology within Winlink has evolved in the few years since I last gave the presentation, which is why I'm presenting this presentation to beautiful people today. And again, the new modes that have been added are VARA, RDOT, they're the new modes, VARA FM, so you can use that on VHF, UHF. You have VARA HF for the HF side, RDOT on the HF side, and of course, Winlink still supports the good old AX25 packet. Yeah, which is good. There's some other things that Winlink supports too. It does have Iridium support as well. So if you have one of those little, I can't remember what they're called, but they're the little like satellite communicator things. They're like $600 or something like that. And I don't even want to know what the monthly rate is to keep that thing going. But if you have one of those, you can connect Winlink to it and then use Winlink to send satellite-based messages. Winlink Express, I should say, also supports Telnet, which is great. So even if you don't have a ham radio currently, but you are properly licensed at the technician level, you can actually install Winlink Express on your computer and get up and running on Telnet right away, which is very good. So, and using Telnet is great, especially like if you're like me and you're a part of like 3 different Winlink nets, where some of the messages are quite big and it will take like probably like 20 minutes to receive all 3 messages. So rather tying up one of the gateways here in town, I can just connect via Telnet, grab everything within seconds versus 15-20 minutes.
Is it compatible with iOS or is it only Windows phone?
So there is a iOS and Android version of Winlink Express. Well, it's not Winlink Express. It's another app. It's called Radio Mail, if I remember correctly. And you can put that on your phone. And you can, if you have UC7HO sound modem set up correctly on your network, you can actually connect your phone, the Radio Mail app on your phone to the UC7HO sound modem and send receive messages using your ham radio and then having it go over your own home network, which is great.
I was thinking about an adventure application you talked about.
For the adventure application, sure. Sure, yeah, you could if you can establish a hotspot network. If you can establish like a little hotspot network, yes, you very much could. As far as hardline is considered, I don't believe that is possible right now. But at least establishing a hotspot, you can use the iOS app. And there are Android solutions out there as well.
So there's an Android solution that'll do the whole thing all in one go.
Wonderful. That's great. See, I don't have an Android, so I'm just not aware of it. Anyway, so why use it? Well, there's 3 good reasons. It's another communications tool. One of the things that we like to talk about is having multiple multiple ways to get a message out there. So in ham radio, we can use our voice, we can use digital modes, we can use Morse code. There's so many ways that we can communicate, and adding Winlink to your repertoire for personal or emergency communications is really just, it's just a smart move, especially since a lot of people are using Winlink now, and it's very easy to use, which is, again, why a lot of people in emergency communications are using it. And as I said earlier, it's kind of become the MCOM standard. Again, just for simplicity, and a lot of the stuff that we learn, studying for our licenses and stuff, can transfer over to stuff like this. It's easy to set up. Maintenance is low. That's another reason. Like it's really easy to run this at an EOC. Just have a computer running connected to a ham radio, and you're good to go. And even if you want your EOC to serve as a gateway for the community, for other hams to utilize, again, it's very easy to set up and just keep your and have very minimal maintenance on it, which is great. And portability, as I said, you can run Winlink on Winlink Express. You can run it on a Surface tablet. You can run it on a full-blown desktop, laptops, and I should specify Windows laptops. However, I have heard of some success stories of getting Winlink Express working on Linux using wine or bottles. I can't speak to how successful it is because I haven't been able to try it myself yet. But there are, on the Raspberry Pi side of things, there are different Winlink applications, programs. One that comes to mind is PatLink, or what is it? It's Pat. It's Pat, P-A-T?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. P-A-T, Pat, which is, I don't know if a lot of it has changed recently, but I wouldn't say it's exactly user-friendly. There are YouTube tutorials on it, which is great and can help you get on it, but the problem with something with Pat is it doesn't have, well, and this might have changed too, so take this with a grain of salt. It doesn't have the Winlink forms, the Winlink Express forms, and that is something that another reason why the MCOM community loves Winlink Express is all the forms that it has. It's got forms for the ARRL forms, you've got radiograms, you have like all the ICS forms, so you need to fill out a 213. Gotcha. Very easy, fillable in a browser, automatically attaches it into your message, and you can just send it off to whatever agency needs it. It's very easy, which is amazing. So the ICS forms are huge. Even the U.S. Geological Agency has a form for did you feel it? So if there's an earthquake, you can report earthquake stuff using Winlink Express, using the built-in form. It's very cool. In fact, I believe we just had a drill on that recently with FEMA Region 5, if I remember correctly. So yeah, but some things that you need to remember though with Winlink. One, once you create an account, this is very important. Once you create an account, you have 400 days. You need to keep using it every 400 days, otherwise it releases your account and you'd have to re-sign up again. So if you have a Winlink account and you haven't used it in a while, make sure you use it. Again, 400 days. I recommend sooner, just to make sure that your equipment is functioning and working properly. But you've got 400 days from the time you've created an account to basically keep using it. And that timer resets after every session. Now the good news is, if you're new to Winlink and you don't have a ham radio set up currently with with Winlink, if you don't have a proper setup where you have your radio connected to the computer, you're just using Telnet, it counts. So you can connect via Telnet and it will keep that clock running on that 400 days. So there is a web portal that you can use from the Winlink website where you can log in and check your email, but that does not count towards the 400 days. You need to use Winlink Express or one of the other Winlink programs to connect via Telnet or through RF to keep that timer running on your account. Another thing to keep in mind, and I alluded to this when I said I sent my parents an email letting them that I was okay. Your messages are not encrypted. They're in the open. Anybody can read them, decipher them. If you have an attachment, they can pick it up and they can read it. So that is another thing to bear in mind. If you have something confidential that needs to be said, this is probably not the best mode for you to use, and you'll want to look at other programs and systems to help you out there. Because anybody that can detect your message they can easily decompress it. Winlink messages, when they're sent, are compressed. I can't remember the name of the format. It's like the B2F file format or something like compression, I believe is what it is. But if somebody has a tool that can extract it, they can read your message and see and view your attachments as well. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. Which this alludes to, you must follow amateur radio laws and rules. So like, don't swear, don't curse, in your messages. The other thing is, keep your messages short and brief. As I mentioned, some of the net reports that I receive from Winlink, from the nets I check into periodically, they can get pretty big, and it can take 15, 20 minutes to receive. So the longer your message is, the longer it's going to take for it to send. And if you're sending it to another Winlink user and not a normal email network, it's going to take them just as long to download your message. So that is another thing to keep in mind. And I've already said this, keep your messages brief. You can communicate with non-ham radio operators with Winlink, which is great. So like I said, my parents are not ham radio operators. But when I sent my message to them, I just said, keep your messages brief. If you need to reply to me, keep your message brief, and don't swear, and keep it family friendly, and you'll be fine. So, and that was not a problem at all. So yes, and that goes for text messages as well. If you need to send a Winlink message to a telephone user, just say, hey, sending this via ham radio, keep your message brief, kind of thing. Very helpful with that. Now, I alluded to Wordle earlier. The Winlink equivalent is called HamWord, which is very cool. And I would have loved to give a demo tonight, but for some reason, my drivers got screwed up, and I am no longer able to transmit over my cat connection. I can't do PTT for some reason. So I'm going to have fun installing some drivers later. But I'll explain this as best as I can. What you want to do, if you want to play HamWord, is you need to send a message, compose a message in Winlink Express. You compose it and you send it to HamWord. In your subject line, you can type in anything. I usually just type in hello. But your subject line can be anything. And then in the body of the message, type in your 5-letter guess.
Give me a guess.
What's that?
Give me a guess.
For
HamWord.
well, let's try irate. because that's usually my default starting word for Wordle.
Alright, let me send it.
Okay. So Eric is going to send that. And in about, let's see. Well, he actually might get a reply because what's going to happen is Eric sends it every quarter hour, as long as you're playing in an active game session, every quarter hour of your response, you will get a reply back from HamWord letting you know if you guessed correctly, or let you know if the letters are not there, or the letters are there but not in the correct spot in the word, and things like that. And I'll get to that in just a second. So every quarter hour, so every quarter past, half hour past, quarter to, and on the hour is when you will hear back from HamWord if you're, again, in an active gaming session with it. Once you get your message, and this might be very hard for you to see on the screen, I don't know. Oh yeah, you can kind of see it. So, for example, I used irate, and you'll notice that below irate, I have a 0 below the I, a 2 below the R, a 1 below the A and the T, and a 0 below the E. That means that I and E are not used in the word. So you can cross those words out. A and T with the 1 under it means that those letters are in the word, but not in the correct location. The R has a 2 below it. That means that it's the correct letter in the correct position. So whatever word that we have will have the letters R, A, T, but R is already in the correct position. So you can narrow your guesses down by thinking of 5-letter words that have R as the second letter of the 5-letter word that includes A and T somewhere. So there you go. And when you get the reply back, which Eric should get a reply back in just a moment, it will show in the Winlink message, it will show these the numbers below the word, and you can match up, and then you can reply to that email with your second guess, and you just keep doing that. You get 6 opportunities to get it right, and by the 6th opportunity, if you have not guessed the word, you've lost the game, and that's pretty much how it works. So the goal is you want to see all 2s. You want to see 5 2s below each letter, and HamWord will say you win. So that's so yes. I hope I explained that pretty well. That pretty much wraps up the presentation at this point. Again, I was planning on doing a demo, but for some reason I can't get my radio to PTT anymore. For some reason, at least over USB. Microphone works fine. It's not bad. It's a driver issue somewhere. So thanks, Windows. But that's pretty much it. And thanks for listening. But I am open for questions. And again, I always keep an eye on the reflectors. So if anybody has any questions that I may not be able to answer tonight, I can either figure it out, and if not, I definitely know a lot of people who know a lot more about Winlink than I do. So I'm more than happy to take questions, and if I'm unable to answer.
Sure, Zach?
Yeah.
You described the setup for your personal station.
Yeah.
What are you connecting to? Do you have to be within range of something for this to work?
So my personal setup at home is I have a Windows 10 computer, and my radio is an Icon IC9100 that has a built-in sound modem as well as cat control. So I just have one USB cable going from the computer to the radio. That's it. I don't need a TNCX or anything like that. And in terms of software, I use the UZ7HO sound modem for the AX25 packet side of things in Winlink Express. And I use VAR HF and VAR FM as well in my personal setup. Now, the cool thing with Winlink, and I didn't really address this, but one cool thing you can do with Winlink is you can send peer-to-peer messages. Think of peer-to-peer as simplex. So I can send a Winlink message, not talk to any digipeater and just go, or gateway, and just talk directly to another person, whether that's on HF or VHF, UHF. That's one method. So as long as you're in range of someone else that's using Winlink, you can communicate directly simplex with them. You can also use gateways as well that can hold your messages until your recipient connects to the Winlink network. And once they've connected to the Winlink network, the gateway that's holding your message that you sent to this person will be like, oh, hey, they've logged on, and then it will forward their message to the person, which is a lot better and more efficient than APRS, where it's hit or miss. Like if the person that you're sending an APRS message to, hopefully their radio is on and on frequency and decoding messages at that time. If not, that message just gets lost to the ether. So,
Zach, you're referring to how email used to work. You know, when we all did dial-up, we'd dial up, and then we get our mail. AOL would say, "You got mail."
yep, yep.
But nowadays we're always online all the time,
Right.
so we don't know that's how it used to work. But
Right.
That's how it used to work.
Yep, yep.
So Zach, though, for this to work, for your home station to use Winlink, you need to be within range of a gateway, digipeater, or someone willing to do peer-to-peer.
Yes. Yep.
So if you're not within range of any of those, you will not make a connection or send a message.
Correct, unless the only other way, if you're not in range of a gateway, if you are not in range of somebody else peer-to-peer, you can always use Telnet if you have a internet connection. Now the cool thing is there are gateways sitting on VHF, UHF, and HF. So chances are, like, if you're a general class and you're, I don't know, hundreds of miles away, maybe up in the mountains somewhere, and you need to get a message out, throw an antenna, throw a wire up in a tree, bring it down, connect your equipment and everything, and tune into a HF gateway, and you can get your, you can send your messages, and that gateway will hold your message until that person is online and connects.
Zach, I'm going to ask a targeted question.
Yeah.
Suppose society as we know it goes down and the internet crashes, the entire thing. Does Winlink have a contingency for that, or is it just email?
I'm so glad you brought that, and the answer is yes, there is a contingency. One of the cool things, there are hybrid stations, let me rephrase that. There are hybrid gateways out there that primarily, when the internet is up and running, will send your Winlink message through the internet to the gateway closest to the recipient. Now, one cool thing with these hybrid stations is if their internet goes down and you're able to communicate with one of these hybrid stations, you can send your message. The hybrid gateway will hold that message, and those hybrid stations will communicate with other hybrid stations, and if somebody connects and is like, hey, do I have an email waiting for me? The hybrid stations know that somebody that this person has an email somewhere in the gateway, somewhere at some gateway, and that message will then forward on to the recipient, even if they're cross-country. So there is a hybrid gateway network out there. You can view all of the networks, by the way, like if they're hybrid stations or not hybrid. You can go to the winlink.org website, and you can click on tools, and you can bring up maps, and you can see all of the HF, VHF, UHF gateways. And there's even a filter, so you can filter it between, like, are they packet, are they VARA, like, what are they? and it helps. And by the way, just so you all know, here we're very fortunate. The Ottawa County Emergency Operations Center has a Winlink gateway, KOEC-14, I believe is what it is. You can connect there. Of course, our club, we have K8DAA-10. You can connect there and send Winlink messages through our club gateway. What else there? Mike Woolheis has a couple actually out at the 92nd Street. One is AX25 and the other one is VARA FM.
That is a fast node.
It is a very fast node. VARA FM is very, very fast.
Licensed VAR FM will just blow the socks off dial-up.
Yes, it's insane how fast VARA, even on HF, it astonishes me how fast VARA is. Not to mention, like, it can bust through RF noise, which makes 80 meters useful for me. So,
All right. Thank you, Zach.
thank you.
I would say that one.
Hey everyone, just coming to you in post editing here, and I realized that during my presentation I omitted some important information, and I sincerely apologize. So let me make some not so much corrections, but let me make some additions here, focusing on HamWord specifically, the section that I just finished talking about at the end of the presentation before the Q&A. Real quick, something that that I need to bring up is first, down in the description below, I will post the link to the HamWord website where you can view your scores as well as the scores of other players throughout the week, which leads into part 2. Wordle, or excuse me, not Wordle, but HamWord resets every week. It resets at 0000 UTC, which is currently Eastern time. That would be 7 p.m. if I have the conversion correctly. That'd be 7 p.m. on Sunday night. Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time is when HamWord resets and the next round comes into place. So you have from 7 p.m. Sunday night Eastern to 7 p.m. Sunday, a week later, to play the current round of HamWord. After that, if you have not figured out the word and guessed correctly, if you forget to keep playing, or if you forget to keep playing, you will get marked as incomplete. If you don't guess correctly, it counts you as a loss, is how it works. So you have 1 week from 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, Sunday night, to play the current round of HamWord, and then at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern, a week later, the game resets with the new word. With the new word. So there you go. Just want to make that quick addition in post and let you all know, and keep you updated. Again, I will have the website link, the URL to HamWord down in the description below if you would like to play. Thanks for watching, and 7-3.